I think what I'm really fascinated with in my work right now is something called the personal data economy, right? And a lot of the ways that marketers need to, in my opinion, consider how to work with consumers is to understand how to earn their trust, right? No matter what vertical it is, B2B, B2C, a primary thing is letting the people know who you want to use your brand or product or service to feel they can trust you. So a massive opportunity right now for any marketer, much like back in the day, 2004, 2005, when social media was still new media, right, is instead of being frightened about all these different big data, what's the privacy concerns and all that, is to learn how to teach, or rather learn about and then teach the people who are interacting with your website, etc., about data, right? So what does that mean? So for instance, it means if you are using people's data when you ask for their demographics, their email address, etc., start considering having something that says something about the future of data and how you see data for your customers, right? So instead of just being concerned about, well, we can't link off of our website because there's regulations from the FTC or what have you, instead of just being upset about it, talk about it. Say to your customers the way that all of the data about your actions 3 or 4 or 5 years ago used to be somewhat simple, right? You made a purchase on a credit card and that showed up as a string, one aspect of your data. Now the thousands and thousands of tweets that you send over a month, all the Facebook posts, your GPS data, what you buy, biometric data from things like Fitbits, all these things in one sense are putting together a bigger digital picture of you almost than your actual physical or carbon-based life form. So it's a massive, huge, the whole big data conversation you should and need to be thinking about, but not just how do we make it work for our company from a technical standpoint, but how do we address consumers and teach them about the personal data economy.
How do you match that with privacy? Because collecting all this data, basically you start collecting people's lives.
It's a great question. There's a growing trend of something called personal data vaults, which I'm really interested in. There's a company that I'm working on this thing called the Hackathon Project. Someone on our committee, a guy named John Clippinger from MIT, he also works at an organization called IQ. They've created something called the Open Mustard Seed Platform. Long story short, what that means is instead of your data kind of being in 50 to 70 to 200 places, most of which we don't even know anymore where our data is gone, how it's been sold to second or third parties or used in ways that we didn't originally intend. A data vault sort of says, all right, every piece of data that I create, at least that I knowingly create, right, I can put into a data vault, which is essentially kind of like the metaphor of the bank. So you define, it's sort of like a Google Circles mentality. These are my friends, these are my family members, these are people at work. So you're kind of separating your identity in that taxonomy. The personal data vault mentality is similar, except that it also has an actual encapsulation, a literal encapsulation of the data, the bits, the code that represents who you are in those transactions. So now you can say, I will only release my data for this one transaction, for this one contextual idea of what I want to do. So I only want my data to be released for this one purchase. So I understand the value exchange. That's where a big part of the concern is right now, is that people don't get the value exchange. They think, well, I'll give away my demographics, so I get a free bag of chips, sweet, and they think they've made a good exchange. Not at all. So those data vaults then also mean you can say, I only share this data here, here, here. And the really cool thing about like the Open Mustard Seed platform, for instance, is if you find out that your data is being used in a way that you don't want, you can press a button and kill it. That data goes away. So it's essentially as if like you were loaning, I don't know, books to friends, and the friends who were using your books were writing on them and ruining them or something. It's not the best metaphor. You could have those be sort of destroyed or brought back to you so people couldn't malign, in this case, your data. So I think that's a huge, important thing.
You've been advocating augmented reality for a long time, and finally here we have it solved by Google Glass. How do you see that evolving, and how does this make you proud and happy?
I think Glass is awesome. I still haven't tried it. As you can tell, I have a lot of concerns about the ethics and privacy around these things. I mean, a lot of the articles I've been reading, which is funny about Glass, people talk about how cool it is to, say, record and all that stuff. But one of the best articles I read, really long piece on the nature of the design of the glasses. One thing that stood out is the guy writing it said, so I went in with my glass, my pair of Google Glass, into Starbucks. And the barista behind the counter said, please don't film here. We don't allow filming with the glasses. You know, they look great. And he said, okay. And then he said, but then I kept filming, right? There's no ethical or cultural sort of Like right now, what you're doing with me, you're pointing a camera at me, so anyone around us would probably go like, whoa, he's filming, right? That context is gone. It is gone. It will be gone in 2 to 3 years, right? Why that is so important is that think about how your life will be different, and there's so much video cloud storage available. Oh, I gotta film! When everyone here at South by is filming each other, and it's tagged. So here's some both fun and potentially nefarious marketing things I've been thinking about. So this is idea, they used to call them lurkers, I think. Like at bars, they would have cute girls or cute guys go into bars, and brands would hire them to sort of talk about a product and see the reaction to that product. We'll multiply that by a cajillion in the sense of we're all sitting around with our glass, glasses, Google Glasses on, and someone brings up something like, hey, Downton Abbey, did you like Downton Abbey? So the voice recognition of someone hearing that phrase goes into the PBS or the Downton Abbey, community manager, and someone says, whoa, whoa, real time. Someone's talking about Downton Abbey. It's like a tweet deck or a Twitter deck, right, for the visual world. So now I might get a message in my glass from PBS. Whoop, if you keep talking about Downton Abbey, you can get season 3 for free. So I think the idea of product placement is going to be something that will be a good advantage for marketers. It's kind of terrifying in one sense to think about, but when you know that you can also have Google Chats and Google Hangouts in real time, that just means you could walk around, like right now, maybe I would have been hired by a company, and I could walk around, and the second someone I talk to starts talking about the brand that I've been hired to, Google record, it'll record. So that may sound nefarious, but again, as long as people agree on these different taxonomies of communication, that's the main thing, because then people can say, whoa, I don't want to be filmed. So that's going to be interesting. I love quantified self. I love wearable computing. I think the fact that you can start to actually know with quantified data aspects of your physiology mean that the health world in a great way is going to be transformed. A quick example, there's a great product called Gluco. You attach it to your iPhone, and if you have high glucose levels, it knows, it can text your doctor right away. Awesome. Another guy I know has created a product you can actually put into a person's heart, and it predicts a heart attack with about 94% accuracy 8 hours before the heart attack happens. So these types of technologies, amazing.